Well, this is a video that a lot of people requested, so we're going to be doing it. Toyota Tundra TRD Pro versus Chevy Silverado ZR2. They're pretty much the same price and they're within the same truck category, and so which fun, cool looking off-roader should you go for, right? But before getting this video, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. And then if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Let's get into it. So starting under the hood of the Silverado ZR2, we have a naturally aspirated 6.2 liter V8 that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. It is good for 420 horsepower and then 460 pound-feet of torque. This is the only engine option available for the ZR2. Fuel economy, you're going to be able to average mid-teens roughly with the engine. Now with the Tundra, we have a completely different setup. Twin turbo 3.5 liter V6 paired to a hybrid system. Total system output 437 horsepower and then 583 pound-feet of torque. Fuel economy, you'll be able to average high teens. So this obviously has more power and more torque compared to the ZR2, but much more complex system, obviously. Now when it comes to real-world acceleration, the Tundra does feel faster, but not as much as you'd think given the power figure difference, especially with the torque. Now going over the front end of the ZR2, first thing to note is we have over 11 inches of ground clearance with the ZR2 package. You can see you've got a pretty cool hood decal there, or not decal, but like bulge basically with the 6.2L badge. And then look at like the LED daytime lights with the headlights. That looks really cool. And then the whole grill's blacked out. You got the flow tie there in the center. And then look at the tow hooks down below, finished in red as well to kind of signify it's ZR2. Skid plate protection underneath with like a bash plate in the front end in Raptor-esque style, right? And then you got the bumper cutouts, which are supposed to help out with approach angle. And when it comes to front-end styling, I think that Chevy did a really good job with the ZR2. Now, popping over to the Tundra, you actually have only about 10.5 inches of ground clearance, which is still a lot, but not as much as the ZR2. And then I think the hood setup is pretty cool, right? It's just normal Tundra with like the vent pieces on either side. But I don't know, I think it's cool because it says TRD Pro on it, so I don't know, I'm all about it. Now with the rest of the front end, it looks pretty good. I think you've got the LED lights, you've got like that light bar there in the center with the Heritage Toyota logo. You've got marker lights because the truck is wide enough to qualify where it needs it, and you've got like the fog lights down below. No tow hooks though, so still not sure why Toyota's going down that route, but they have decided to go down that route with their trucks. And then you got like the camo print all throughout on the TRD Pro as well. Skid plate protection underneath, but notice you've got like plastic there on the bumper and then the skid plate down below, so it doesn't have that same like bash plate appearance that you have on the Silverado ZR2. It's a little bit more hidden, which I don't necessarily think looks bad, but I think that Toyota could have, done more of a Raptor style. Now we've got 33s here on the ZR2, 18-inch wheels. Something to note, the ZR2 tires have a little bit more sidewall compared to the TRD Pro tires that they use, and frankly, I prefer the ZR2 tires. I mean, you guys can see there with the tread pattern, it's just a little bit more aggressive for off-roading. 2-inch lift with the ZR2 as well, if you're wondering, and then notice the logo there. Everything's blacked out with the truck, and then you can see the side steps down below. And let me tell you, if you don't have side steps on the truck, breakover angle is actually pretty solid with it. Now you do have multimatic shocks with the ZR2, really advanced shock system. It's a multi-chamber system, hence multimatic, and it basically allows you to handle low speed and high speed off-roading. And so this is basically equivalent to like a Gen 2 Raptor shock setup is the way that I look at it in terms of what it's able to handle. The ZR2 obviously doesn't have as much travel, but it's pretty close actually. And then you got like the tucked up exhaust tips. Now with the side view, I think it looks pretty good. I actually think Silverados look better without fender flares personally. Now 18-inch wheels, they're actually BBS forged wheels on the TRD Pro. But like I said, a little bit less sidewall. So I think the sidewall rating for the ZR2 is like 70, whereas on the TRD Pro it's like 65. So it's like a negligible amount basically. Now with those Wild Peak all-terrains, they're pretty good, but like I said, I'd rather have the ZR2 tires. Now TRD tuned shocks and suspension. The shocks are Fox brand. Now they're actually really good. I would say that, in my experience with driving different TRD Pros and everything, and then also with taking like a ZR2 off-road and then also an AT4X as well, I lean more towards the Multimatics. I think they're better with absorption and compression and everything. Now, if you get like the live valve Fox shocks and like a Raptor, those are better than the Multimatic, but this obviously doesn't have those. So that's just something to consider, I guess, if you're going to be more on the off-road style side of things. Also, the side view in the Tundra TRD Pro looks so much better, in my opinion. And then you guys can see the Fox shocks there in the rear. And then what you notice is this one has multi-link in the back end. So the ZR2 you saw had leaf springs. That makes it so this has a more planted feel both on-road and off-road with the driving. But the Tundra definitely has like a heavier feel overall too, which is something else to note. Now here's a key fob for the ZR2. Notice you got like remote start, tailgate drop down, you know, all the fancy modern luxury truck features. And then this one has a spray-in bed liner, so everything's all protected from the factory. And you've got a little grab handle with it and LED lights here in the bed with a full power outlet. And then notice this is ZR2 there at the bottom of the bed, which is pretty cool. Now it's got the multi-pro setup, so you've got the little tailgate that actually drops down, which, I don't know, nice feature. Makes it so getting in and out's a little bit easier, but it does make it so you don't have the auto raise function, so that is a downside. And then the back of it's just regular Silverado. I think that's a slight missed opportunity by Chevy because it just, I don't know, you can't tell it's a ZR2 other than the badge, honestly. That is the one thing. And other than that, though, I mean, I think the back end of the new Silverado looks pretty good. Now, with the Toyota Tundra key fob, remote start's built into the lock function, still has the tailgate drop down, so key fob functionality is identical with the truck. And the thing to know about this TRD Pro is it has a composite bed. You know, some of you might like that, some of you might not. I think composite beds are pretty cool. I feel like they're more durable than, you know, bed liner, but LED light there in the bed as well. Don't have like a fancy, you know, multi-function tailgate setup or anything like that. Just a good old-fashioned tailgate. But you have a button there on the side to lower down the tailgate if you don't have the key fob. I think the lights in the new Tundra look pretty cool. Got the TRD exhaust tips, which this exhaust doesn't sound that good, to be honest. I'll include exhaust tips or exhaust clips at the end of the video, but yeah, it's not that great. And then notice TRD Pro there on the back, and then you guys can see with more of the camo, and then notice the marker lights there in the center. And then also on the side with the fender flares, those look pretty cool as well. And yeah, I mean, look at that. Just I don't know. I know some people don't like the new Tundra styling, but I'm a fan. I think that it looks pretty cool, especially in this TRD Pro, guys, from every single angle. It's got a lot of road presence too. I can say that because I've seen a few in person driving on the road. Now, the ZR2 interior is supposed to be easy to clean. That's why it's the color that it is, and that's why you have perforations, not basically in certain areas and not in other areas, if that makes sense, to make it so it's as easy to clean as possible, like the overall design of the seat, which I think is pretty cool because it looks cool, but then it's also like functional, and that's very attractive to me. Now, room in the back of the cab, really good. I'd say that it's slightly roomier compared to the Tundra, just slightly. It's not like a huge amount in terms of the difference, but it is a slight difference. And then notice you got a little cup holder armrest right there, which is pretty cool. And then popping over the Tundra, I do think this interior is definitely a bit flashier, right, with a bright red. I mean, it just blows up the camera filter, actually. Got the red stitching throughout, which is pretty cool, too. And then look at the storage on the door as well. And then, yeah, look at the seats. And then, again, you got the camo print there in the center. Now, these seats obviously are, you know, not going to be as easy to clean because huge perforations and everything. So understand that you're going to want to be a little bit more careful with getting stuff on these seats compared to the ZR2 seats. And you guys can, I think you can see, like with the room, it's just slightly less. Cup holders there in the center. And then you guys can see with the charging ports and everything down below that. And of course, cup holder armrest. Can't go wrong with that, right? And then, you know, headroom's pretty good. I'd say it's equal in both of the trucks, if you're wondering. And with the front door panel here in the ZR2, again, you've got that same coloration, and you got the neon stitching. I guess they went neon because they're like, we got to have something that pops out, right? Automatic window controls, mirror adjustments. The Bose sound system's pretty good in the truck, if you guys are wondering. Blind spot monitoring for the mirrors as well. And then with the front seat, I mean, again, design matches with the rear. I think it looks pretty cool. And then power adjustments there on the side, and then ZR2 badge right there. And then notice with our driveline select, we have 4-wheel auto, 4-wheel high, 4-wheel low, and then 2-wheel high as well. And then you've got like your drive mode select, and then your trailer tow mode, and then your light controls, and then the steering wheel is power adjustable in the ZR2. And then popping over to the Tundra, you guys can see that we've got cool red stitching again, and you got like the red padding throughout that just definitely livens things up quite a bit with the TRD Pro. I hope this interior is in like the new Tacoma and 4Runner, because I think it'd be pretty cool with like the coloration. Memory seats, and then you got blind spot monitoring there. At the mirrors as well, notice TRD Pro there on this seat. And again, that cool camo design. And by the way, when it comes to seat comfort, I will say the TRD Pro is more comfortable seats. The padding's just a little bit better. The seats in the Chevy aren't uncomfortable. They're just a little bit harder. And then look at the pedals too. Those look pretty cool. And then you got stuff like your heated steering wheel button, your gas cap release, and then notice for the light bar to turn that on. And then the steering wheel is manually adjustable in the TRD Pro. $70,000 truck, manual adjustment for the steering wheel. It's just the world we live in. And then with the steering wheel on the ZR2, really nice trim all around. Look at the darker stitching in the center. You got paddle shifters there in the back for the 10-speed. You got your cruise controls for the center stack as well. And you notice the blacked out Chevy bow tie there in the center. And, you know, got the stocks in the back. Full digital gauge cluster, which I think looks pretty cool, actually. And the one thing I will say is I wish that there was a custom animation for the truck there that showed like the ZR2 instead of a regular Silverado. But, I mean, functionality on it's really good, so I guess no complaints with that. And also notice with the terrain mode, you actually have to be in 4-wheel high for that. It does have one pedal drive with that, which is pretty cool. And then we got a digital gauge cluster here in the Tundra as well. But first off, with the steering wheel, I think they did a good job with like the marker there at the top, just like with the Raptor. You got the TRD at the bottom. And so I think the steering wheel looks a little bit cooler in the Tundra compared to the Silverado. I like the like the golf ball texture on the steering wheel. I think that feels better as well. And then notice with the stocks there on the back, pretty cool. And with the digital gauge cluster, so the resolution is better on the Chevy. Like it looks a little bit more modern, but I don't know. I like the look of this. I think that it looks pretty cool, and functionality is relatively similar with both of them. Now this has a ton of different drive modes. So you've got your on-road drive modes. They went the Ford route, is what we'll say, because and you got a bunch of off-road drive modes too. I mean, like modes for literally everything. It's kind of ridiculous. I think that automakers need to calm down with the drive modes, right? And then with the camera system, full 360 camera system here with the Silverado. Really good resolution. Definitely, you know, one of the best ones in the truck industry when it comes to just, you know, how easy it is to use and then all the different camera views you get. I mean, great for on-road use and for off-road use as well. Shortcut bar there at the infotainment system as well. Response time's great. It's got Android Auto. It's got Apple CarPlay. It has everything you need. So, like, I think that they did a good job with the infotainment screen. Now, the Tundra, I would say it has just as nice of a camera system because you've got a bunch of different viewpoints. The screen's really big. Resolution's pretty good as well. And so I would say they're matched when it comes to camera system. But I will say it's cool that you can instantly pop into the off-road mode with the Tundra. I think that that's something that, I don't know, it adds to it. And I will say that I used that several times, you know, when I took a Tundra off-road, for example. So that is definitely something to consider. And notice shortcut bar there on the side as well. And, you know, usability, pretty similar to the Chevy. And then down below the screen with the Chevy, you guys can see all the analog controls of different functions like your parking sensors, your tailgate drop down, hill descent control. Notice with the ZR2, we have front and rear lockers. It's very important to mention as we compare that to the Tundra. So you've got lots of grip from those tires, and then also because of, you know, how they set up with the locker situation, trailer brake controls, and then notice you got dual zone climate, heated and cooled seats. So you got all those nice luxury features. And then you guys can see the shifter there for the 10-speed, and then you guys can see with the center console, look at the neon stitching. Wireless phone charging pad in the center as well, and then we've got the funny looking glove box there at the top. Still confused on that, but nice padding on the dash with some of that neon stitching throughout, which is pretty cool. And then it does have a camera mirror, which is a nice bit of safety tech. And then no sunroof in this one. It's kind of like a base model ZR2. Heated, cooled seats, dual zone climate, and the TRD Pro with a little USB port there. So just as much luxury feature stuff. Notice for like the trailer backup, camera view, rear locker. That's it. You don't have a front locking differential with the TRD Pro. And then you guys can see with the parking brake. I like the shift on the TRD Pro a little bit more. I think that looks better. Notice with the red accenting. And then you guys can see the manual shift function there. Wireless phone charging pad too, which is pretty neat. And then notice with the driveline select, we don't have 4-wheel auto, just 4-wheel high and 4-wheel low. And then with the drive mode select, you can go between tow haul mode, your regular drive modes, your multi-terrain select, and then your crawl control. Pretty cool. I will say Toyota's crawl control way easier to use than the one pedal drive in the Silverado ZR2. Some Silverado owners might argue with me, but my experience, yeah, Toyota system's a little bit easier to use. I feel like a little bit more intuitive, so I think that Chevy can definitely improve things with their system there. And then notice the glove box setup and everything. So summing things up when it comes to driving, notice camera mirror as well. I would say that they both drive like kind of big old school trucks is the best way to put it. Obviously, if you want a V8, ZR2 is going to be the route to go. The V8 power is great. The Tundra is pretty powerful, but it doesn't feel like that much faster than the ZR2. When it comes to off-road, the ZR2 wins. It has better tires. It has a front locking differential. It has better shocks. And so, yeah, it's just going to be able to do more, and it has more ground clearance. It's going to be able to do more than the Toyota Tundra can when it comes to off-roading. When it comes to on-road driving, though, I would actually say the Tundra probably wins. I like the multi-link a little bit better on-road, and then I think it has more road presence than the ZR2. The ZR2 looks so similar to the Trail Boss that it's like, whatever. But the TRD Pro Tundra, like every single time I see one in person, I'm like, wow. Let me know which one you guys would pick.